Welcome back. I'm Richard Hosnote, and I'm your host of the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast and this Wisdom Inspired Life YouTube channel. Great to have you on this episode. And in this episode, I'm continuing my, for me, caring and compassion series, which is a lot of fun, doing the research and learning on each of these. And caring and compassion are at the heart of my mission for this particular YouTube channel, as you may have remember from the early episodes. I'm trying to inspire a higher level of caring and compassion so we can address the problems and needs that our planet faces. And by caring and being compassionate for others, we actually achieve higher levels of happiness than when we focus on our own. So that's what this is all about. In this particular episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 stories from the Reader's Digest. The Reader's Digest used to be, when I was growing up, kind of like a mainstay little magazine sort of thing that people would get with all kinds of stories and summaries of stories in other magazines and everything. And I'm going to be sharing here with you acts of kindness, caring, and compassion in very short little stories. And as you listen to these stories, I only ask that you open your heart a little bit, to feel, to have empathy for what's going on, which will help you appreciate the caring and compassion more when we understand, when we have empathy for what that person is doing and how another person responds to help, okay? A stranger's compassion, and this happens with some regularity, and that's all good news. At a grocery store checkout line, Leslie discovered she was $12 short on the cost of what she had in her cart. A stranger in line handed her $20 to pay for all of her purchases. Now imagine that. You're in line, you've got a grocery cart full of, and you don't have the money to pay for what's in the shopping cart. Feel that pain, that embarrassment that individual has. And then someone quickly jumps in and offers $20. Leslie explained it this way. Let me tell you a story. My mother is in the hospital with cancer, and I visit her every day and bring her flowers. I went this morning, and she got mad at me for spending my money on more flowers. She demanded that I do something else with my money. So here, please accept this. It's my mother's flowers. This is I've never heard this kind of story before. And circumstances came together. I would call it God in action. Okay? It's about neighborly caring. Miranda's neighbor, Jim, had trouble deciding if he wanted to retire from the construction field until he ran into a younger man he'd worked with previously. The young man had a wife and 3 children and was finding it difficult to make ends meet since he hadn't worked in some time. Feel that pain. Wife, 3 children, haven't worked in some time. Desperation, going to food banks, you don't know what's going on here, but this is, if you have empathy for that situation, it's a very painful, painful experience. Are your kids going to have enough food so they don't have to go to bed hungry at night? The next morning, Jim went to the union office and submitted his retirement paperwork. As for his replacement, he gave them the name of the young man. That was 6 years ago. And that young husband and father has been employed ever since. Whew. Quite an act by Jim. Yes, he was thinking about retiring, but boy, was his heart touched by the experience of this young man in need. And it was, you can call it coincidence if you will. To me, it's God's plan at work. Next story. This is about anonymous help. Jamie in Idaho explains that while going through a divorce, his mother fretted over her new worries. No income, the same bills, and no way to afford groceries. Again, just feel for a moment what this mother might have been feeling. Scary. Divorce, different world. No income, but the same bills. Whew. I don't know about you, but those kinds of situations take my breath away. It's, wow. It was around this time that she started finding boxes of food outside our door every morning. This went on for months until she was able to find a job. Who was it? Who knew? Who was doing it? Didn't need credit, just needed to make sure that this mom was taken care of. We never did find out who left the groceries with us, but they truly saved our lives. And you can see why that might not be an overstatement at all. You can be caring and compassionate and be anonymous about it. And in this, I think in this particular situation, by the person being anonymous, they potentially saved the mother the embarrassment that they couldn't take care of themselves. And by being anonymous and just focusing on the gift, the food, it was a far more comforting way to be caring and compassionate. I love it. This is a story I love. Just listen to what this story is about. Man tells the story. Leaving the store, I returned to my car only to find that I'd locked my keys and cell phone inside. Oh my God. A teenager riding his bike saw me kick the tire and a few choice words. We won't imagine what those words were, but they were certainly frustration and pain being expressed. "What's wrong?" the teenager asked. I explained my situation. "But even if I could call my wife, she can't bring me the car key, her key to the car, since this is our only car." He handed me his cell phone. The teenager handed the man his cell phone. "Call your wife and tell her I'm coming to get her key." Man said, "That's 7 miles round trip." Teenager says, "Don't worry about it." An hour later, he returned with the key. I offered him some money, but he refused. Teenager said, "Let's just say I needed the exercise," he said. Then, like a cowboy in the movies, he rode off into the sunset. Now, imagine this situation, a family that can afford only one car, lock the keys and cell phone in the car. Teenager comes by. And again, like the previous story, you can look at it and say it's pure circumstance or whatever. You've heard the saying, God works in mysterious ways, and regardless of where you interrelate with God, if you do, either through Buddhism or Hinduism or Christianity or Mohammedism or Patanjali or Paramahansa Yogananda, however you do, the one God for all of us was at work here. And the teenager opened his heart and did the right thing in the right way. And it was a great saving grace to the person in need. The next one, a Navy wife and mother. The mother wrote, "I was balancing caring for a toddler, working a full-time job, all the while my Navy husband was on extended duty overseas." Get the situation. Mom with a toddler, essentially a single parent mother, because dad's off on deployment with the Navy, working a full-time job. One evening, the doorbell rang. It was my neighbor, a retired chief petty officer. It's an enlisted title, senior enlisted title within the U.S. Navy, holding a breadboard loaded with freshly cooked chicken and vegetable stew. He said with a smile, "I've noticed you're getting a little skinny," he said. It was the best meal I'd had in months. Now, I have some empathy and appreciation for this. I was in the U.S. Navy as an officer during Vietnam, serving with a security clearance that was 2 levels above top secret. And I gained a great appreciation for the Navy culture. All the services have at various times members of the service on deployment in foreign lands. The Navy even more so, because all their ships, the Navy is about ships, and they're deployed for 6 or more months, in which case it's very difficult for those who are left behind, in this case, a mom and a toddler, to get much assistance, to have much communication with their husband who's out at sea thousands of miles away. A lonely, tough, challenging experience, and one that we give great gratitude to those who serve. And the Navy is a community, a tight community, as I'm sure exists in the other services too. And this was a chief petty officer, retired, who knew firsthand about the challenges she was facing, and he stepped in to help. Okay? Caring and compassionate. Okay? Here's some possible lessons from all of this. How we can be more caring and compassionate. Be alert and curious about possible opportunities to deliver acts of compassion, like we saw with the Navy mother and the anonymous help. Someone was curious and alert about a possible opportunity to deliver acts of compassion. Compassion is not just empathy. Compassion is empathy combined with the desire to relieve the suffering of others. That's compassion. Next, be willing to do something that requires significant extra effort if needed. Boy, the teenager, 7-mile round trip, and Jim giving up his job. Okay? Open your heart. That's the beginning. Then be alert and curious. Be willing to do something that may require significant additional effort. I covered this in the previous episode, but it's all there. The opportunities to be more caring and compassionate. Often unexpected situations arise. They can be a surprise. All of this is a challenge. It's kind of like we're disoriented. What do we do? Require you to do something that you don't normally do, even that you may be uncomfortable or awkward for you to do as you think about it. But here's the solution. When you are curious and you see an opportunity to help, pause. Be in the moment. What's that mean? What's going on? Okay? As you observe, open your heart, your caring and compassionate heart. Figure out what you want to do. It may require you to be brave and bold or not. But be caring, be compassionate, and the world will be a better place, one person at a time. Okay? If you want to know more about what I'm trying to do with Wisdom Inspired Life, you can go to website, mywisdominspiredlife.com. You can listen to the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast, which are very different content than what you see here. A lot of quotes from great wise people, from the Dalai Lama and many, Deepak Chopra and many others. Okay? And there's a great player to listen to the podcast on the website. There's others on iTunes and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the other places that the podcast is. Okay? So, some resources there should you be so inclined. Well, as you know, I'm on a journey. I'm on a mission to achieve that and to try and make this world a little bit more caring and compassionate to deal with the challenges and needs that we have. I appreciate you being with me on this journey today, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you.